The eyes are in deep sockets called orbits in front side of head. Then the eyelids protect the outer surface and they can shut out light, like that. And then they have outwardly curved eyelashes to prevent falling of larger particles. And eyebrows protect the tickling perspiration and raindrops from getting into the eye. Tear glands, very cool, upward sideways 6 to 12, and these have a couple of functions, very important functions. The movement of they serve as lubricant. They wash away dust particles, keeping the eyes clean, and they have an antiseptic property due to enzyme lysozyme, which kills the germs. And these tear ducts drain off the liquid into a sac nasolacrimal duct, which conducts the secretions into the nasal cavity, which is happening to me right now. Okay, guys, I don't know what happened there. Conjunctiva is a thin membrane covering the entire front portion of the eye and is actually continuous over the inner eyelid. And over the cornea, it is reduced to a single layer of transparent epithelium. And when this turns red, you have conjunctivitis. So when my conjunctiva turns red, run, because I have a viral infection. Structure of the eyeball, it's the outer sclerotic, the middle choroid, and the inner retina. Now, the outer scleroid is tough, fibrous, white, and on the front portion of the eye, it bulges out and becomes transparent over the region where it covers the iris, which is the colored part of the eye, and this is the cornea. And this is basically just the cataract. It's basically cataract. Now, choroid layer, it's richly supplied with blood vessels for nourishment, black pigment melanin to prevent reflection and scattering, and in the front region it expands to form the ciliary body. And the iris is also an extension of the choroid, partially covering the lens and leaving a circular opening in the center. So the opening of the iris in the center is the pupil. uh, and it has radial muscles to widen and circular muscles to constrict the pupil. And the adjustment of pupil size regulates light amount entering eye. This is just example. Now, retina is the innermost and is sensitive to light. It contains rods and cones. Rods are sensitive to dim light. Wait, I'll actually, yeah, they're sensitive to dim light, and they don't respond to color. They have pigment rhodopsin, and they're distributed almost throughout the retina. Now, cones are sensitive to bright light, responsible for color vision. They have iodopsin and are mostly contained in this yellow spot. These are differences. So rods are more. Wait, I'll tone it down now. Yeah, rods are more, cones are less. Rods are periphery, cones are center. Rods are sensitive to low levels. Cones are bright. Rods only one type, stimulated by all wavelengths except red. And cones have three types to allow color perception by being responsive to different wavelength. And rods allow for rapid regeneration, so they can sense flickering light well, but these are slow regeneration, so they are less responsive to flickering light. And lens. Guys, before we move on to lens, we must talk about the yellow spot and then blind spot. So, yellow spot or macula lutea is at the back of the eye, almost at the center on the horizontal axis. It has maximum number of sensory cells. It has the cone cells, and thus is a region of brightest vision and of color vision. And blind spot is the point at which the nerve fibers from the sensory cells of the retina converge and bundle together to leave the eyeball in the form of the optic nerve. So there are no sensory cells, and it is a point of no vision. Lens is transparent, flexible, biconcave, crystalline, contains transparent lens fibers, and is held in position by suspensory ligament which attaches itself to the ciliary body located at the junction of the choroid and the iris, itself a part of the choroid, contains muscles which on contraction and relaxation change the shape of the lens, viewing objects at different distances. So the eyes have two chambers, aqueous chamber and vitreous chamber. The aqueous chamber extends from the cornea to the lens, and the vitreous chamber is a larger cavity behind the lens. The aqueous chamber contains aqueous humor, which keeps the lens moist and refracts light, but the vitreous chamber keeps the shape of the eyeball and protects the retina and its nerve endings. In case you guys forgot how to see, here is a useful tutorial. Number 1. Entry of light rays, and they enter through transparent structures such as the conjunctiva, the cornea, the aqueous humor, the lens, and the vitreous humor. And after the entry of light rays, we got focusing of the image. So the curvature of the cornea and then the lens converts the light rays. Cornea does it to some extent, and the lens does it further. And the image which is a real and inverted image. So a real and inverted image is formed on the retina. Now the light energy of the image produces chemical changes in the sensitive cells, which generate nerve impulses, which travel through the optic nerve and reach the visual area of the cerebrum, where they give the sensation of light. And after it reaches the brain, it interprets the image in many ways, such as seeing the image upright, even though it is real and inverted. Now none of this would have been possible without accommodation, which is the process of focusing the eye to see different objects at different distances. And so for distant vision, the lens is more flattened or thinner, and for near vision, which is nearer than 6 meters, the lens becomes more convex or rounded. And obviously, these changes to the shape of the lens is brought about by ciliary muscles. So in a normal condition, when you're seeing distant objects, the ciliary muscles are relaxed, so ligaments are tightened, so lens is longer and thinner, less convex, suited for viewing distant objects. But when we look at nearby objects, the ciliary muscles contract. This lessens the tension on the ligaments. The lens becomes shorter and thinner on account of its elasticity, becomes more convex, and thus more suited for seeing closer objects. So the final adaptation that helps us see is light and dark adaptation. So when we move from a brightly lit area to a darkly lit area, what happens is regeneration of rhodopsin, which is earlier broken down due to bright light, and dilation of pupil, permitting more light to enter the eyes. But when we move from a darkly lit area to a brightly lit area, the visual purple, which was regenerated earlier, is bleached to reduce its sensitivity, and the pupil constricts to reduce the amount of light entering the eyes. Now, if you're wondering about color vision, that is only possible due to stimulation of cones in the retina, which are only stimulated under bright light. So in dark areas where only the rhodopsin is stimulated and not the iodopsin of the cones, a colored perception becomes a little difficult. Oh my god. Stereoscopic or binocular vision is basically the simultaneous focusing on an object from both eyes and the overlapping of their images in the brain, giving a three-dimensional effect which helps in depth perception, and this is found in monkeys, apes, and particularly humans. Afterimages, or the persistence of image, is basically the persistence of the sensation of light for a short period, usually about 1/10 of a second, and this happens if one looks at a bright object and closes their eyes, or looks at a bright object and then looks at a dark object. And this is actually the basis of motion pictures, because in a motion picture, image pictures are projected on a screen at a rate of 24 pictures per second, but we cannot perceive individual frames on account of afterimages in our eyes. So the lifelike continuous movement on the screen is an illusion.
Hello guys, welcome back to our YouTube channel. Today we will be teaching you about the human ear. Okay, the ear, organ for hearing and balance. So guys, as we know, we can hear from our ears, but something you might not have known, the ears also help us balance. Body balance, like the cerebellum helps us body balance, the ear also helps us body balance. Now first, guys, as we know, everything good has three parts: outer part, middle part, and inner part. Okay, so the outer ear, what does it have? It has the projecting part, pinna. So guys, as we see on our test model here, this is the outer ear. This entire thing is the pinna, guys. It is also called the auricle, like in the heart, but that is not the same auricle. And the passage auditory canal leading to the eardrum or tympanum. Okay guys, so as we can see, we cannot show this auditory canal on our test subject because it is inside.
There's a diagram in the book.
Okay guys, so the book has kindly provided us with a nice diagram. So as we saw on our test subject, this is the pinna, and so it goes inside the hole inside your ears, like you all have.
Eardrum or tympanum.
And as you can see, this is the eardrum. So sound goes inside the hole and goes to the eardrum. So
this
this
is the projecting part, pinna.
Yes.
It leads into the passage auditory canal leading to the eardrum or tympanum.
So this part makes up the outer ear. Okay, now we come to the middle ear. It has three bones, oval window and round window. Now let's see what they do. The three bones are called malleus or hammer, incus or anvil, and stapes or stirrup. In popular terms, these hammer, anvil, and stirrup in popular terms, but don't write that in exam because you will not get marks. And a eustachian tube which connects the cavity of the middle ear with the throat. Now guys, there is a very popular question that comes from this specific sentence. If throat infection, it travels to ear. How? The answer of that will be through the eustachian tube, because it connects the cavity of the middle ear with the throat. Okay?
Okay.
Now, the three bones are collectively called ear ossicles: malleus, incus, and stapes. Malleus plus incus plus stapes equal to ear ossicles. Now, the handle of the hammer bone is attached to the inner surface of the eardrum. As you can see, this is the handle of the hammer bone. Okay? Now, Its opposite end is connected to the anvil, which in turn is joined to the stirrup. They are all connected to each other like family. The flat part of the stirrup fits on the so-called oval window. This is not very clear here, so let's show you magnified. This is the flat part of the stirrup, like it looks like a skateboard. It is connected to the oval window, like you can see it is oval, and this is round window.
So the flat part of the stirrup here is connected to the oval window here.
Yes. A membrane covered opening leading to the inner ear. A second opening, the round window, also covered by a thin membrane, connects the middle and the inner ear. So both of them are membrane covered. Both of them go from the middle ear to the inner ear. But syrup is connected to the oval window and not the round window, because the syrup likes the oval window more. Okay? And round window has no function basically. Now, the inner ear or the membranous labyrinth has three parts. The cochlea, semicircular canals, and the vestibule. Let's talk about the first part, the cochlea. Now, this is like the cochlea. It's like a spiral organ
2.5 turns.
with 2.5 turns. Like you can see, 1 turn, 2 turn, 2.5 turn. Okay? Now, the cochlea inside has 3 separate canals. 1 canal, 2 canal, 3 canal. Zoomed in, 1 canal, 2 canal, 3 canal. Okay? The middle canal or the median canal is filled with a fluid called endolymph.
It is inside.
Endo means inside. And the other two are filled with a fluid called perilymph.
Because they're in the perimeters.
They're at the perimeters.
Ah.
Okay. This is what's written here. The middle canal, the endolymph filled canal, has a spiral organ called organ of Corti. They have sensory cells for hearing. Okay? The nerve fibers arising from these cells join the auditory nerve. And the sensory cells lie on the basilar membrane. As we can see, this is basilar membrane. This green stuff here is the basilar membrane.
Right there.
And on these, the organ of Corti lies on these. So, part 1 done. The cochlea is done. Now we have to do the semicircular canals. The other part of the inner ear is a set of 3 semicircular canals, which are in XYZ axis. As we know from Fleming's right hand and left hand rule, the semicircular canals are arranged like this. One like this, one like this, and one like this.
So as you can see, guys, these two are horizontal and this one is vertical.
Yes. One end of each canal is widened to form an ampulla.
If you look here, one end is widened.
Their booties are a bit fat.
Yes. Their booties are widened and we call these buttholes an ampulla.
No, they're not the holes, they're just the booties in general. Look, they're wide here, they're wide.
Oh.
They're wide. Okay? Now, what does the ampulla do? It contains sensory cells for dynamic balance. Remember, guys, how we told you in the beginning, the ear is for hearing and body balance. Now we already covered the hearing with the cochlea, but we have the body balance left. So, the ampulla has sensory cells for dynamic balance, as in balance when you are moving, when you are running, you still stay upright and don't fall over. That is because of the sensory cells in the ampulla. Now, the last part, the vestibule. The vestibule consists of 2 separate things, the utriculus and the sacculus. As you can see, the utriculus, the upper part, and the sacculus, the lower part. Now, they have sensory cells for static balance. Like when you're standing, if you didn't have this part, then you would fall over, but you don't because of these sensory cells which help you with balance.
Without the vestibule, you would literally fall off.
Yes. Okay, now we are going to explain just what all of these parts do, like how they work together to make you hear.
And how they also help with balancing.
Yes. So, the pinna collects the sound waves and conducts them through the external auditory canal. Like, guys, as you can see, it's like kind of, there's a tunnel, and this it's like kind of it's like this, it's like a funnel shaped. So all of the sound waves that come here, they get condensed into one beam and go inside the hole. So, conducts them through the external auditory canal. They finally strike on the eardrum, which is set into vibration. Now, the eustachian tube equalizes the air pressure on either side of the eardrum, allowing it to vibrate freely. Like suppose
Remember, the eustachian tube connects the cavity of the middle ear with
to the throat. Now, here, the eustachian tube is this thing. It's leading here down. This is the eardrum. Sound is coming from here. Eardrum has to vibrate like this. If this part was blocked off, then the pressure here would not allow the eardrum to vibrate. So to equalize the pressure, this eustachian tube leads to the throat so that it can vibrate freely. Now, what happens when the eardrum vibrates? The hammer obviously vibrates because it's attached to the eardrum. When the hammer vibrates, the anvil obviously vibrates because it's attached to the hammer. Then when the anvil vibrates, then the stirrup vibrates because it's attached to the anvil. Now, the stirrup vibrating makes the membrane of the oval window also vibrate. Okay, now let's see what happens. The membrane of the oval window, which in turn sets the fluid contained in the cochlear canals, also it makes it set into vibration. So, this membrane of the oval window vibrates, so the fluid inside these canals, they also start vibrating. Okay? The vibrating movements of the fluid stimulate the hair-like processes of the sensory cells of the cochlea, and the impulses are transmitted to the brain via the auditory nerve. So, the fluid inside this vibrates, so these cells also vibrate, and that constitutes an impulse which is taken to the brain, and that's how you hear. Okay? Now guys, as you saw in the hearing part, the semicircular canals and the vestibule was not mentioned at all. They are mentioned over here. As the head is turned in different directions, the fluid inside the semicircular canals is also shaken. The moving fluid in the canals pushes against sensory hair cells, sending the nerve impulse through the nerve fibers attached to them to the brain via the auditory nerve. So the semicircular canals also have fluid inside them. When you move your head, then the fluid inside them also shakes with your head. Okay? And when it shakes, it stimulates these sensory cells. Okay? The sensory cells in the semicircular canals are concerned with dynamic equilibrium when the body is in motion. Similar sensory patches are also located in the utriculus or the sacculus, which register the static or positional balance with respect to gravity. No, I'm not using, just what are your thoughts? Final thoughts.
Well, an interesting thing about a dynamic balance of the semicircular canals is if you spin round and round, the fluid inside spins even for a little bit of time after you've stopped spinning, which gives the sensation of dizziness.
And guys, do you know why that is? It is because of Newton's second? Is it second?
Every action has an equal and opposite reaction.
That's first.
Is that first?
No, wait, is that second? One of Newton's laws, which talks about inertia. That means you stop, but the fluid still keeps moving
That
for
is
a little
first
bit
law.
of time. That's first law?
Yeah, that's
okay.
first law.
It's the first law. So, this makes you feel dizzy and make your eyes appear to move back and forth. Like we will demonstrate. Spin. Guys, when he stops, he will keep... Yeah, see, did you see that? He started swaying. And he's carefully stepping back because the fluid inside his semicircular canals kept spinning for a while and made him dizzy. So guys, that is it for the hearing portion of this sensory chapter. We hope you guys learned something from this video.
In our next video, he will go bald.